Welcome to the Football Debates Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Debates. This podcast is going to focus on the National Football League, the Football Bowl Subdivision, or FBS, and Football Championship Subdivision, or FCS, of college football, but mostly on the NFL. This podcast is designed for new fans of the game, or fans with just a basic knowledge of the game. What we're going to try to do here is broaden that knowledge base, provide more depth and understanding of the game, and hopefully enhance your enjoyment when you watch the game with family and friends. As a former high school coach in the Upper Plains states, all the information presented here is going to be from my own personal experiences, observations, and opinions. We are going to look at the game in a bit of a different way. We're not going to break down the X's and O's. We're not going to break down the difference between a cover 2 and a cover 3 or the differences between different offensive schemes. What we are going to do is try to understand the hows and the whys of the game. We're going to try to look at what happens during the game week prior to the game and what happens on the sidelines during a game, not so much what happens on the field. We're going to look at a variety of topics, starting with different aspects of coaching, the culture of coaching, different coaching trees, and how those ideas have spread throughout NFL and college offenses and defenses. We're going to look at my opinions on how to improve officiating, realignment of the college football conferences. We're going to discuss NIL money, or name, image, and likeness money in college football. We're going to look a little bit at the history of game. For example, past NFL drafts, past great teams or dynasties, and what made them great, and a variety of other topics. To begin with, we're going to look at the hierarchy of an NFL coaching staff. When you're watching a game on Sunday, you often hear references to the head coach, the assistant head coach, or the various coordinators. But what does all this mean? To begin with, the head coach is like a CEO. They have to see the big picture for the game on Sunday. So during the course of the week, they have discussions with their coordinators and the assistant head coach about, should they go for it on 4th and 2? Should they kick a field goal? Should they punt the ball? Well, that may depend on where the ball is at on the field position. Do they go for 2 after a touchdown, or do they just kick the extra point? The head coach during the week has to look at these different issues and can't do as much coaching as they always want to do because of the time constraints that they have with a variety of obligations outside of coaching. For example, most coaches have to meet with the press multiple times during the course of the week. They have to have meetings with their general managers or the GM, discussing potential free agents, discussing what players they want to bring in for tryouts to help cover when their players are injured and are going to miss time. So the head coach has a variety of things that they have to look at outside of just coaching the team. That's where the other coaches come in, starting with the assistant head coach. This oftentimes is a veteran assistant or a former NFL or college head coach that provides counsel and can assist the head coach during the course of the week and in the game with various situations. They can handle issues that arise that the head coach may not be available for. For example, if the head coach is meeting with the general manager, the assistant head coach can meet with the training staff or the strength and conditioning coaches or whoever they might need to help better utilize both their time and the head coach's time. The assistant head coach is often a veteran assistant coach or former head coach to assist with a younger or new head coach in the NFL. Below the assistant head coach, you have the coordinators, an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and special teams coordinator. And we will look at each of these in detail. Starting with the offensive coordinator. This is the coach that designs the weekly game plan, presents it to the head coach, to the other coaches, to the position coaches, and to the team. This way everyone is on the same page and they know exactly what they're going to do when they're attacking the other team's defense. Offensive coordinators have different ideas or different ways of attacking defenses. Some coaches like to run the same plays or similar plays over and over again using a variety of formations or different personnel. Other coaches will use the same personnel and the same formations, but run a variety of different plays during the course of the week. It just depends on the way that coach matured in their coaching journey and what they feel is the best way to attack the defense that week. Below the coordinators, especially on offense and defense, you now have a pass game coordinator and a run game coordinator. This is a newer position at NFL levels and some major college levels. We're not going to get into it very much right now because it is such a new position and it varies from team to team. Jumping below those coordinators, we now get to the position coaches. Offensively, you have a quarterback's coach, a running back's coach, a wide receivers coach, a tight ends coach, and an offensive line coach. All these coaches meet with the offensive coordinators, discussing the strategy for the week. And then once the offensive coordinator has presented the game plan, each of these coaches present it to their position groups to further enhance what their responsibilities are in the game plan during the course of the week. On the defensive side of the ball, you have the same thing. Defensive coordinator sets up their game plan, the best way they're going to attack the offense, the best plays that the opposing offense has, what they're going to try to take away, and different personnel matchups that may favor them. Again, you have a pass game coordinator and run game coordinator on the defense. But once again, we're just going to bypass those for right now. Below the defensive coordinator, you have a defensive line coach, a linebackers coach, and secondaries coaches. But these can vary depending on the type of defense a team runs. For example, if a team runs a 4-3 type of defense with 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers, they may have an interior defensive line coach and a defensive ends or edge rusher coach, and then 1 coach for their linebackers. If a team runs a 3-4 scheme with 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers, they may have just 1 defensive line coach, 1 linebackers coach for the inside linebackers, and 1 linebackers coach for the outside linebackers. Plus, most teams do have 2 secondary coaches, a cornerbacks coach and a safeties coach. All of these positions also have what are called quality control coaches. These are lower level coaches, equivalent of gophers, or in a sense, interns. At the college level, these are often student assistant coaches or graduate assistant coaches. These are oftentimes former players who, now that their playing career has finished, they want to look at potentially being a coach to continue their football journey. Sometimes you have high school coaches moving up to the college level and small college coaches moving up to large college level or even to the NFL level. These quality control coaches, they are really the assistants to the assistants, getting drills set up for practice and doing a lot of minor tasks so that way the position coaches and the coordinators can focus on larger issues each game week. The last coordinator position that I have not forgotten about is the special teams coordinator. This is a different type of coach. These coaches sometimes get to work with the starters, but oftentimes are coaching the reserves. The NFL, since they have a limited number of players with just 53-man rosters, you will see more starters playing on the special teams than you do at the college level. For the special teams coaches, they have to work with both the offensive and defensive players also, and they have to get them to do tasks that they are not used to doing. For example, you might have a defensive end player who is on the punt team. They have to start out by blocking. They're used to defeating blocks, not having to block someone. So they have to learn that technique to block and then sprint downfield 40 yards to try to tackle a punt returner in the open field. You might have a tight end or a running back who is doing the same thing. First, they have to block, which they have more experience with. Then they have to sprint 40 yards down the field and try to break down in the open field and tackle a quick returner, something that they are not accustomed to doing. So special teams coaches have to encourage them that they can do these jobs and make sure that they are doing these techniques properly. Many teams have kicking and punting coaches, specifically for the kickers, and most NFL teams and even most major college teams have a long snapper coach. This is a specialized position of a center that hikes the ball back on punts and on field goals and extra points. Below all the coordinators and the quality control coaches, or an adjacent to the quality control coaches, you have the strength and conditioning coaches. These coaches, their job is exactly what it sounds like, making sure the players are in shape, making sure that they're lifting correctly so they don't injure themselves during their daily workouts. That's just a basic breakdown during the game week. But during games, there can be a variety of different tasks. For example, Some offensive and defensive coordinators like to be up in the press box so they can get a big picture or they can see the entire field during the course of the game and make their adjustments that way. Some offensive and defensive coordinators like to be on the sidelines so they can communicate directly with the players, see what they're seeing, talk about what they're seeing, and make the adjustments there. All of the position coaches that you have, they assist with those preparations. Oftentimes an offensive coordinator, if they are up in the booth, the quarterback's coach will be down on the sideline so they can communicate with each other. The quarterback coach can communicate with the quarterback what the offensive coordinator wants to do on their next possession. Defensive coaches do it similarly also. Oftentimes it's a linebacker who is the quarterback of the defense, and they'll meet with their linebackers coach to discuss what the defensive coordinator is seeing from up in the press box or in the booth. The other assistant coaches, they have various jobs, such as making sure that the right personnel groupings are set up and the players are aware if there's an injury or if there's a sudden change to make sure that the correct players are on the field. Special teams coaches also have to make sure that if one of their starting special teamers is injured, that the backups are ready to go in and know what they are doing also. Oftentimes the strength and conditioning coaches are referred to as the get-back coaches. So on the football field, the sidelines, there's the wide white border stretching from one goal line to the other. This is actually an area for the officials, so that way they can run up and down the sidelines and not have to worry about running into players, coaches, or equipment. The strength and conditioning coach's job is to therefore make sure that all the players get back and are away from that sideline. If an official runs into a coach or a player on that sideline, that can lead to a penalty. This is just a basic overview and basic introduction to the different coaching jobs that you'll see on the sideline on Saturdays and Sundays. Don't forget to hit the like button. Hope you enjoyed your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you again on the Football Debates.